I know that a lot of people believe whatever because they don't understand and they don't know.
Career development. Andre Rieu defies his age with incredible energy, continuing to outsell major artists like Bruce Springsteen and Coldplay in concert revenues. His live shows have generated $300 million from over 700 performances. The classical music maestro has built an empire that few could have imagined. Rieu's journey began with a modest 14-piece ensemble in 1987. Now he conducts the world's largest private orchestra of 75 members, showcasing his exceptional business skills. The maestro has sold more than 40 million albums and recorded 50 albums throughout his career. He has transformed classical music into a global phenomenon. His annual Christmas concerts attract 60,000 spectators worldwide. This massive appeal has helped build his impressive fortune. The story of this classical music virtuoso's wealth accumulation and his family inheritance plans has become as captivating as his musical legacy. Building a musical empire. Andre Rieu's journey from a salon orchestra player to Billboard's highest-grossing classical artist demonstrates his exceptional business sense and musical talent. The 75-year-old Dutch violinist has built a multi-million-dollar empire from his love of classical music that continues to grow despite industry challenges. Rieu's empire started in 1978 with his first ensemble, the Maastricht Salon Orchestra. His dream took shape in 1987 with the Johann Strauss Orchestra's creation. The group began with 12 members who spent 6 months practicing before their first concert on January 1, 1988. The orchestra grew remarkably over the years. By 2008, it had 43 musicians, and between 2008 and 2020, the number reached 50 to 60 members. A game-changing moment happened in 1995 during an international football match in Amsterdam. Rieu bought 60 seconds of live TV time to play Shostakovich's Waltz No. 2 during halftime. "Ajax did me a huge favor and scored just before halftime," he recalled. "The next week I sold 200,000 CDs. This moment turned an unknown violinist into a household name. His popularity exploded through TV appearances and European tours. The media named him the modern king of waltz in 1996, creating a brand that would define his career for decades. Commercial success. Rieu stands out from traditional classical musicians because of his amazing commercial success. His orchestra has stayed on Billboard's Top 25 Tours list for almost 20 years, alongside stars like Bruce Springsteen and Justin Bieber. By 2018, he had secured his spot as Billboard's box score history's highest-grossing classical artist with $550 million in total earnings. "I need $1 million a month only to pay everybody, and without touring, so you can imagine when we tour it's even much more," Rieu shared. 110 people on my payroll, and then another 100 who are working for me on a freelance base, so it's a huge family. The operation stays profitable through multiple income streams despite these huge costs. The classical music industry has faced tough times with lower demand, higher costs, and smaller profits for decades. Rieu created new opportunities by bridging the gap between classical music and pop concerts. He carved his own path instead of following traditional classical music rules. "You know that solemn atmosphere you find in the concert hall with classical music, and how it intimidates most people and keeps them away? With us, it is simply not there." His shows became joyful celebrations where people could sway, hum along, and clap, things usually discouraged in traditional classical venues. Business expansion. His business grew beyond just concerts. He built his own recording studio, production company, events business, and custom stage and costume workshops. His musicians receive special treatment with a professional chef, fitness instructor, custom-made Mercedes-Benz buses, and even a private kindergarten for parents. Critics from the classical world might call his performances schmaltzy, but Rieu embraces it. "I'm trying to create a Gesamtkunstwerk where music, dance, and costumes all add up to a magical evening. This vision has proven incredibly successful. Unlike traditional orchestras that rely on government funding, donations, or institutional support, Rieu's business stands on its own." The biggest part is the tickets, but the DVD is very, very important. His financial independence helped him overcome major setbacks, including near bankruptcy from an expensive castle replica stage set in 2008. These state-of-the-art business approaches helped Rieu achieve his dream to make the whole of classical music available for everyone. His financial empire proves this mission's spectacular success. The castle, a majestic 16th-century fortress, stands in the heart of Maastricht. This castle, Huis de Torrentjes, House of the Small Turrets, has become a symbol of André Rieu's soaring success. The classical music maestro didn't just buy a luxury home like other celebrities. He got a piece of history. That keeps growing in value. The castle wasn't part of Rieu's original investment plans. We were on holiday in the south of France when our accountant called that the front side was for sale. We weren't really looking for it. But then again, the chance doesn't come along very often, recalled Marjorie Rieu about their unexpected purchase. André had a childhood connection to the property. He took piano lessons there as a young boy, though he hated his teacher and the castle was dark, damp, and depressing back then. His fascination with castles started early through his love of Tintin comics. Whatever those early negative impressions, I grew up reading Tintin, and in one of the books, he and Professor Calculus sold an invention and bought a castle. I remember thinking I wanted to live there, Rieu explained. André's childhood dream came true on September 11th, 1999, when he bought the castle for €1,458,459, approximately $1.9 million. The historic structure was split into multiple sections at the time. That was a strange situation, so when we were able to get the front, we hoped that one day we could bring back the entire castle to its former state, shared Marjorie. Rieu ended up buying all 3 sections piece by piece. The castle's history runs deep. The kitchen, its oldest part, dates back to 1452, while most of the structure was built in 1526. The sort of thing I love is its connection to the famous French musketeer D'Artagnan, who allegedly had his last breakfast in the castle before dying at Maastricht's gates during the 1673 siege. The castle's transformation happened without professional designers. Most of it was designed by André himself. Reports indicate the musician added his personal touches by brightening dark rooms, adding gold leaf accents, and furnishing with unique pieces he found throughout Europe. André built a valuable French-style aviary on the grounds, filled with tropical birds and plants. Other people buy a Ferrari, but I wanted a greenhouse filled with butterflies, and that's what I have, Rieu explained. The castle's value grows even more due to its location within Rieu's broader real estate holdings. Property records show the violinist has built his own little district in Maastricht with 34 properties, including 6 buildings near the castle and many land parcels. Taking care of this historic treasure costs a lot. The soft stone structure needs constant renovation. No sooner have I repaired one half than I need to start again repairing the other half, Rieu noted. Major renovations happened in 2015, fixing extensive roof and wall damage as the stone gradually eroded. André doesn't live in the castle. He prefers his 150-year-old house on a neighboring street. Yet the property remains the crown jewel in his asset portfolio and a magnificent showcase for his musical empire. The castle has become part of his brand identity. Rieu admits, "I use the castle to promote my concerts. The Americans come over to interview the king of the waltz living in his very own castle." Stradivarius collection. André Rieu's fortune extends beyond castle and concert revenues. His most precious assets rest right under his chin. The violinist owns rare string instruments that serve as both musical tools and multi-million-dollar investments that keep growing in value. The Dutch maestro's performances feature a violin with an amazing history. He played a 1667 Stradivarius violin for many years. Antonio Stradivari crafted this instrument when he was just starting his legendary career. Rieu's connection to this early period instrument runs deep. I used to play on the 1667 Stradivarius, an instrument the man made during his engagement with his future wife. The same love he felt for her, he somehow put in that instrument. You can hear that. This first Stradivarius helped Rieu join an exclusive group of musicians. Getting such a rare instrument wasn't easy. You really need to break into the violin world. It's a small world, Only 3 or 4 people determined that over the whole world, Rieu said. News of his search for a Stradivarius spread quickly. They came like flies to honey. It was unbelievable. I did nothing. They came from the other side of the world with violins saying, "Come play." Rieu's collection grew with his success. He upgraded to an even rarer 1732 Stradivarius violin in recent years. This change explains why media reports sometimes show different dates. He owned both instruments at different times. These instruments command jaw-dropping prices. A typical Stradivarius is easily worth a few million euros. The most valuable ones sell for incredible amounts. The world's priciest violin, the Lady Blunt Stradivarius, sold for over 15 million euros. The value goes far beyond expert craftsmanship. Rieu puts it into historical context. When I do a little bit of math, I notice that the trees for the wood of the Stradivarius instruments had to be put in the soil during Columbus's discovery of the New World. This heritage captivates collectors and musicians today. Rieu talks about his violin with deep emotion, often drawing unique comparisons. A violin is really like a woman. She is unique. There are many women, but only one woman you love. With a violin, it is the same. His emotional bond shows these instruments mean more than money to him. Insurance and security challenges. Moving million-dollar instruments across continents creates huge challenges. The financial impact hits hard. These valuable instruments need special insurance coverage. Rieu once shared an interesting detail. "My violin is insured, but my hands aren't, although my Stradivarius violin is worth more money." This shows the unusual priorities in protecting these treasures. Security measures for these instruments are intense. Reports show Rieu's priceless Stradivarius travels with its own bodyguard and gets first-class airline seats. This ensures the instrument stays safe and at the right temperature during international trips. His dedication to these instruments runs deep. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, when his orchestra faced financial trouble, Rieu made a bold statement. "I would sell my Stradivarius to support my orchestra." He meant every word. "It's my life's work, you see. Then I'll throw away my life that I've built, and them along with me. We do it together." Luckily, performances started again before such extreme steps became necessary. Business model innovation. André Rieu's success stems from his innovative approach to classical music performance. Traditional classical concerts often create barriers through formal atmospheres and rigid expectations of audience behavior. Rieu deliberately broke these conventions, creating an environment where audiences feel welcome to participate actively in the musical experience. This approach alienated some classical purists, but opened the genre to millions of new fans worldwide. By combining technical musical excellence with accessible presentation, Rieu created a new market segment that had remained untapped by traditional classical institutions. His business model innovation extends to how he structures his organization. Rather than relying on governmental subsidies or philanthropic donations like most orchestras, Rieu built a self-sustaining enterprise. The vertical integration of his business, owning everything from production facilities to transportation, gives him complete creative control while maximizing profit margins. The Johann Strauss Orchestra operates more like a rock band on tour than a traditional classical ensemble. This approach allowed Rieu to scale his operations to stadium-sized venues, reaching audience numbers unheard of in classical music. By applying popular music business strategies to classical performance, he transformed the economics of orchestral concerts. Marketing. Genius Rieu's marketing strategy deserves special attention. He understood early on that classical music needed to be marketed differently to reach beyond its traditional audience. His castle serves as both a personal residence and a powerful marketing tool, creating a fairy tale image that appeals to audiences worldwide. His performances are carefully designed visual spectacles. The women in his orchestra wear colorful ball gowns while men don formal tailcoats, creating a visual feast that enhances the musical experience. Every detail, from stage design to lighting, is crafted to create an immersive experience that photographs well and translates effectively to DVD recordings. Rieu pioneered the use of television and social media in classical music marketing. While many classical organizations were slow to adopt new media, Rieu embraced these platforms, understanding their power to reach new audiences. His YouTube channel and television specials have introduced millions to classical music who might never have attended a traditional concert. His marketing genius lies in understanding that he's not just selling music, but an experience. A brief escape into a world of elegance, beauty, and joy. This emotional connection with audiences has created a loyal fan base that supports multiple revenue streams: concerts, recordings, merchandise, and television rights. Financial structure. The financial structure of Rieu's empire is built on careful diversification. While ticket sales remain the foundation, DVD sales provide substantial supplementary income. His business model includes multiple revenue streams: concert ticket sales from global tours, DVD, and album recordings of performances, television broadcasting rights, merchandise, sales, real estate investments, licensing and publishing rights. This diversification insulates his business from market fluctuations and industry-specific challenges. When the COVID-19 pandemic halted live performances worldwide, many orchestras faced existential crises. While Rieu's organization certainly felt the impact, its diversified revenue streams provided some cushion against complete financial collapse. The financial independence of his operation gives Rieu creative and business freedom unavailable to traditional orchestras. Without answering to government funding agencies or boards of directors, he can make rapid decisions and take calculated risks, like investing in expensive stage sets or instrument acquisitions. Leadership style. André Rieu's leadership style combines artistic vision with business pragmatism. He maintains exacting standards of musical excellence while creating a supportive environment for his musicians. The benefits he provides, from private transportation to family support services, reflect his understanding that musician well-being translates directly to performance quality. Former orchestra members describe Rieu as demanding but fair. His rehearsals are precise and disciplined, yet the atmosphere remains positive. This balance creates the high-energy performances that have become his trademark. Rieu's approach to leadership extends to how he presents himself publicly. Always impeccably dressed and unfailingly enthusiastic, he embodies the joy he seeks to create through music. This authenticity resonates with audiences and inspires loyalty from his organization. As both artistic director and CEO, Rieu maintains a hands-on approach to all aspects of his business. This dual role allows for seamless integration between artistic vision and business execution. While many arts organizations struggle with tension between creative and financial imperatives, Rieu has successfully unified these aspects under his leadership. Legacy and future. As André Rieu reaches his mid-70s, questions about succession and legacy naturally arise. The empire he has built represents not just extraordinary commercial success, but a transformation in how classical music can be presented and experienced. His influence extends beyond his own organization, to how orchestras worldwide think about audience engagement and financial sustainability. Rieu has expressed that his primary legacy is making classical music accessible to millions who previously felt excluded from the genre. By removing the intimidation factor and emphasizing joy and emotional connection, he has helped create new generations of classical music enthusiasts. The future of his business empire remains an ongoing story. With substantial real estate holdings, valuable instruments, and a globally recognized brand, the Rieu enterprise represents significant wealth. How this will be managed in the coming decades will determine whether his impact remains primarily personal or develops into an institutional legacy. What is clear is that André Rieu permanently changed the landscape of classical music performance. By challenging conventions and applying modern business and marketing strategies to a traditional art form, he created not just personal wealth, but a new model for how classical music can thrive in the contemporary entertainment marketplace. The man behind the violin. Beyond the business success and musical accomplishments, André Rieu remains an intensely private individual. Despite his flamboyant stage presence and global fame, he maintains a relatively modest personal life. He has been married to his wife Marjorie since 1975, and they have 2 sons, Marc and Pierre. Friends describe Rieu as surprisingly humble despite his extraordinary success. His work ethic remains legendary among those who know him well. Even as he approaches his late 70s, he maintains a touring schedule that would exhaust performers half his age. What drives this remarkable energy? Rieu himself attributes it to genuine passion for the music and the joy it brings to audiences. "When I see the happiness on people's faces during our concerts, I feel energized rather than tired," he has said. This connection with audiences, more than financial success, appears to motivate his continued performances. Rieu's relationship with his extraordinary Stradivarius violins reveals much about his character. Despite their enormous financial value, he sees them primarily as instruments of musical expression rather than investments. His willingness to consider selling his prized Stradivarius to support his orchestra during pandemic difficulties demonstrates the priorities that guide his decisions. In many ways, André Rieu represents a unique convergence of artistic sensitivity and business acumen. This combination, rare in any field, has allowed him to create a musical empire that stands as one of the most successful individual enterprises in classical music history. Cultural impact. The cultural impact of André Rieu extends beyond concert halls and record sales. By bringing waltzes, light classical pieces, and operatic highlights to mainstream audiences, he has influenced how classical music is programmed and presented globally. Traditional classical music institutions initially viewed Rieu's approach with skepticism or outright disdain. Critics often dismissed his performances as lightweight entertainment lacking artistic depth. Yet, as his success continued to grow, many of these same institutions began adopting elements of his approach to audience engagement. Concert halls worldwide now offer more accessible programming, relaxed environments, and innovative presentation formats, partly influenced by Rieu's demonstration that classical music can reach wider audiences without compromising quality. His impact can be seen in the growing popularity of open-air concerts, cinema broadcasts of orchestral performances, and family-friendly classical music events. Rieu's emphasis on emotional connection rather than technical appreciation has shifted how classical music is discussed and marketed. By focusing on the joy and beauty of the music rather than its complexity or historical significance, he opened new pathways for audience engagement with classical repertoire. Perhaps most significantly, Rieu demonstrated that classical music could be financially viable without government subsidies or philanthropic support. This business model innovation has prompted orchestras worldwide to rethink their approaches to financial sustainability and audience development. Whether celebrated or criticized, André Rieu's influence on classical music's place in contemporary culture is undeniable. His success story represents not just personal achievement, but a significant chapter in how a traditional art form adapts to modern entertainment environments.